For today's tutorial, we are going to make some slices of toast for the dolls in the dollhouse. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, I have off camera formed 2 loaves of bread that we can use to make our toast with, and I will leave a link. I've done a whole video on how to make loaves of bread in these bread pans that I created on a tutorial, and using this little lifter piece. I've got the clay mixture and everything all in that video. I'll link that up in the iCards at the top of the screen. So if you haven't seen that and you want to know how to make the bread itself, you can follow that link. And then I stuck these in the freezer for 15 minutes because what I needed was to have them nice and solid so that I can slice them without them getting all flattened, because we don't want our toast slices to be flat. I didn't really want to make that deep. So I'm going to turn the camera off and finish slicing this loaf and slice this one up so we have 2 whole loaves of bread sliced. When I get that done and they've thawed out completely, I'll come back and we can start texturing and coloring our toast. All right, I have completely sliced both of those loaves of polymer clay bread. And if you're only using a couple of slices, go ahead and make the loaf, slice off the amount you're going to use for your project today, and then wrap that up carefully and store it where it won't get smushed. And you can slice off of it, leave it unbaked, and you can slice off of it and use it for a very long time. So I am moving some of these slices to a piece of sandpaper. This is 80 grit sandpaper. The grit doesn't really matter, although in my opinion a coarse grit like an 80 I think works better. And I'm not going to do all of my slices on camera. I'm going to do some. And I'm going to do these so that both sides could be used. So I've moved them on here. I've got a wire brush. And I'm just going to start by texturing with that. This gives a very rough texture. I've got them a little too close together. Normally I would not put this many on at once this close together, but I want you guys to be able to see all of them. And this way they're all under camera. So I can work with 6 at a time here. And this is just starting to get our texture. And you can go as detailed as you want. You can add lots of texture or just a little, and part of it will depend on how you're going to use your little mini slice of toast. If you're going to cover the whole surface with something for your display, you won't need to texture it as much. Maybe just around the edges or something. If you're going to put a piece of toast out for the dolls, you know, just to have out to display, you might want more texture. Now, I've got a very fine ball tool. I'm going to put a couple of these, I'm going to add a couple of little holes, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Now, you could use a toothbrush to add a little more texture. That's probably plenty. Now, I'm going to flip these over, and I'm going to press them down with my finger. The reason I'm working on the piece of sandpaper is when I texture the second side, it won't flatten out all the texture I've already put on it. Now, and depending on what your bread looks like, you may have a little bit different texture on the bread. So now I have a piece of just printer paper. I'm going to do my best to keep this under camera. I'm going to actually, I know it's white on white again, but I'm going to do my chalk coloring over on this so that I contain my mess. That way I'm not getting chalk all over everything, because you're going to see this gets messy. So I'm going to move my toast onto this. And like I said, we're only going to do a few of them on camera. And then I did make a piece of toast to use. Before I start doing anything though, I am going to kind of refine my shape. If there's anything you don't like about the shape of the bread you've got, you can kind of, move it around a little bit, get it shaped just how you want it. If you have a piece of toast on hand that you can look at, great. Now my toast is kind of interesting because one side is always toasted like this and the other side is darker. So I've got quite a variety of colors of toast here all on one slice. So I'm going to have this off to the side so that I can just kind of refer to it when I am chalking my bread. Now I've got 2 makeup sponges or makeup brushes. These are just cheap eyeshadow brushes, and I have my chalks that I normally use when I'm doing baked goods. A yellow ochre, a reddish brown, and a dark brown. There'll be more about these in the blog post, and I'm also going to put a link to the Polymer Clay 101 series that I have on the channel, the playlist for that, because in there I do have a video dedicated to chalks and how to use them. So we're going to go for it quickly here today, but you could go over there and see that if you're not familiar with what these are or how to use them. So I'm going to use the yellow ochre first. Always start with the lightest color and work up. So, come on guys. Cooperate with me, bread. Cooperate. And one of the things you'll notice on a piece of toast, at least coming out of my toaster, it's never evenly colored. So I'm going to do both sides with this color, and then I'm going to go to the next color. And you may want to stop at this color. In fact, I probably will with some of these, because really light toast, this is enough. So let's flip it over. I'm going to flip everybody over so that I don't forget where I'm at. Is this one? Yep, that's the second side. Okay. Now, since I am going to be doing more of these off camera, I'm going to switch brush for the 2 darker colors. Now, this one's a little damp because I washed it out earlier. Now I'm going to move to the kind of reddish brown. Hopefully this isn't too wet. Just a little bit. I was going to leave some plain, that's okay. And then the dark brown. Kind of wipe your brush off. And you can use the little sponge end. If you've got one of the brushes like this that has a little sponge end, that's fine. Oops, I think the doll's burnt that piece of toast. This brush is slightly damp, so it's holding the color differently than I would like. You could also use a little bit of an orange chalk, which I think I'm going to get out if I've got one. Kind of almost a cheddar cheese kind of color. I'm going to get that in here. I'll try that. I think I might have to go get a different brush before I go too much further. And now let's add a little more yellow ochre over the top. But one of the beauties here is you can go back and forth. You can have your toast done. I think we've all had toast come out of the toaster like that. So I am going to finish coloring these. I'll flip them over, do both sides. I'll get all my slices done. And then I'll come back and show you what they look like before I bake them. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, these are all chalked, and I made them a variety of degrees of toasted. From that one stayed in a little too long. I didn't get one really, really black, but I've got kind of mid-range, all different tones. So I think these will be really fun to play around with. So I'm going to stick these onto my paper plate, put them in the oven at the recommended temperature for my clay, and bake them for 10 minutes. And once they're baked and cooled, we'll come back and we will talk about what we are going to do with these. So I'll be right back. All right, here are our Dollhouse miniature toast slices, all baked and cooled and ready to put some toppings on. I even made one that looked like the toaster burned it for us. And that's just the addition of just a tiniest touch of black artist chalk on that corner. You could do as much or as little as you want, but I thought having a variety of levels of toastiness was kind of fun. Now, topping these toasts. When I started recording today's video, I fully intended to top at least some of these with some fun toppings. Life got in the way this week, so quite frankly, I'm not going to have time to film that part of the video and get this up for you on time for Saturday morning. So the toppings will be in a video next Saturday, so be sure and come back for that. In the meantime, in the next couple of days, if you have ideas for toppings that you would like to see me tackle, be sure and leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to at least some of those in next Saturday's video, depending on timing. But also, if I don't, I'll put them on a list for a future video. So be sure and leave me your ideas down in those comments. If you like the video, be sure and hit the like button. Be sure and check the blog post for more photos, for links to different videos that are relevant to what we did today. If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you, hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up another video. Thank you very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.